Okay, so our first question for the day is: flower is a highly modified and condensed reproductive shoot specially meant for option A, vegetative reproduction, option B, sexual reproduction, option C, asexual reproduction, and option D, parthenocarpic reproduction. Vegetative reproduction, in plants we have different types of organs which are developed, such as the runner, the offset, colon, the stem tuber, and thus it is not a type of sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction can occur through different modes, such as formation of zoospores and different types of spores in different organisms. Parthenocarpic reproduction is a type of reproduction wherein spores are not formed. It is a type of asexual reproduction which imitates sexual reproduction. So our answer to this question is option B, which is sexual reproduction. Our second question is: the accessory whorls in a flower are option A, calyx and androecium, option B, corolla and gynoecium, option C, calyx and corolla, option D, gynoecium and calyx. Calyx and corolla are the non-essential whorls of a flower which are not directly involved in sexual reproduction by the formation of male and female gametophytes. Calyx consists of individual members called sepals, while corolla is made up of petals. So our answer to this question is option C, which is calyx and corolla. Our next question is: monothecous anthers are option A, bisporangiate, option B, monosporangiate, option C, trisporangiate, and option D, tetrasporangiate. It is quite a straightforward question wherein anthers produce two types of spores, generally in angiosperms, and thus the answer to this question is option A, which is bisporangiate. Our next question is: tapetum is a part of A, male gametophyte, B, female gametophyte, option C, ovary wall, and D, anther wall. The tapetum is the innermost wall layer surrounding the sporogenous tissue of microsporangium, which produces microspores. The cells of tapetum are large in size and contains a dense cytoplasm and one or more diploid nuclei or a polyploid nucleus. So our answer to this question is the anther wall, as the tapetum is seen surrounding the pollen sacs or the microsporangium, which is found inside an anther. Our next question is: endothecium is made up of option A, pectocellulose, option B, lignocellulose, option C, callose, and option D, pollen kit. Endothecium is a fibrous layer because the cells have fibrous thickness of callose on inner radial walls. So our answer to this question is callose. The function of innermost layer of pollen sac tapetum is option A, dehiscence, option B, mechanical, option C, protective, and option D, nutritive. The tapetum which surrounds the pollen sacs is known to perform two functions. The first being nutrition or nourishment, and the second being formation of sporopollenin. Which is a component of the pollen enzyme. So answer to this question is option D, which is nutritive. Our next question is: what happens to tapetum on maturity? Option A, it persists, option B, it becomes sticky, option C, it degenerates, and option D, it becomes fibrous. The tapetum is the covering layer of the pollen sac, which during the formation stage helps in nourishment or nutrition. However, on maturity it is seen to degenerate. So the answer to this question is option C. Our next question is: in a young anther, the 4 rows of cells which later produce pollens are called option A, antheraceum, option B, archaeosporium, option C, tapetum, and option D, zoosporangium. Our answer to this question is option B, which is archaeosporium, and which is to be remembered. Our next question is, development and formation of pollen grain in anther of the stamen is known as option A, pollination, option B, fertilization, option C, microsporogenesis, and option D, megasporogenesis. Pollination is the process which involves transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stamen. Fertilization is a process wherein the female and the male gametophyte combine to give rise to an embryo. Megasporogenesis is the process which involves formation of megaspores, which are a precursor to the female gametophyte, while the development and formation of pollen grains or microspore, which is a male gametophyte precursor, is known as microsporogenesis, which is occurring in the anther on the stamen.
Question number 8. Sexual reproduction leads to option A, recombination, option B, parthenogenesis, option C, apomixis, option D, polyploidy. Now, as we know that sexual reproduction is process of development of new organism through the formation of fusion of male and female gamete, that is recombination. So option A is the correct answer. Question number 9. Find the odd one. A, micropyle, B, embryo sac, C, nucleus, D, pollen grain. So now, as we know that micropyle, embryo sac and nucleus are female reproductive parts. Micropyle, embryo sac and nucleus are nothing but female reproductive part. Where pollen grain is microspore, which is part of male reproductive organ. So option D is the correct answer.
Our next question is, when pollen grains remain united in a tetrad, it is called option A, simple pollen grain, option B, compound pollen grain, option C, complex pollen grain, and option D, none of those. So our answer to this question is a compound pollen grain, which is found in species like the Typha and Janus. Our next question is, pollen grains are formed in option A, anther, option B, stigma, option C, filament, and option D, pollen sac. The anther consists of a part known as the microsporangium or the pollen sac, which are the axial site for the formation of pollen grains or microspores, which are a precursor to the male gametophyte. So the answer to this question is option D, which is pollen sac. Filament is a part of the stamen, part of the anther. Stigma also is a part. So the answer to this question is option D.
Number 11. Palynology deals with the study of A, pollen grains, B, chromosomes, C, DNA, and D, genes. The study of pollen grains or microspore is called as palynogeny. This concept or the term was coined by Hyde and Williams. So the study of pollen grains is nothing but palynology. So option A is the correct answer.
Which of the following statements is true for the pollen tube? Option A, it shows growth of intine. Option B, it has one prothallid cell. Option C, it is made up of sporopollenin. And option D, it has 3 male gametes. The intine is basically one of the two membranes, the innermost membrane or the pollen grain, while the exine is the outermost, which is made up of sporopollenin. Also, The pollen tube shows presence of 2 male gametes and not 3. So answer to this question is option A, which is it shows growth of intine. Our next question is the double layer wall of pollen grain is called option A, exine, option B, intine, option C, sporoderm, and option D, epiderm. The pollen grain is a double membrane bound structure with the outer membrane known as exine and the inner as intine. The epiderm is the outermost covering consisting of flattened cells. The exine and the intine together are known as the sporoderm, or the skin of the spore skin. So the answer to this question is option C, which is sporoderm. Our next question is exine on pollen grains is composed of option A, pectocellulose, option B, lignocellulose, option C, sporopollenin, and option D, pollen kit. The exine is the outermost layer of the sporoderm. And performs functions of protecting the interior from physical and biological decomposition. The intine is the innermost layer. Composition, cellulose and pectin. But the composition of the exine is sporopollenin, which is option C. So the answer to this question is option C, sporopollenin. Our next question is, in orchids and milkweeds, all pollen grains of an anther lobe remain united in a sac called option A, compound pollen grain, option B, pollinia, option C, corticles, and option D, translator. The answer to this question is option B, which is pollinia, and it is important we remember this result. Our next question is, generally in a pollen tube, dash moves to the tip of the tube. The options are A, vegetative nucleus, B, the generative nucleus, C, the male gametes, and D, the stalk cell. The vegetative nucleus is the one which moves to the tip of the tube, which is also known as the tube nucleus, and it is the first to enter the pollen tube, which is formed from the intine. The pollen tube, and the first to enter is the vegetative or the tube nucleus.
Question number 17. Meiosis can be observed in A, spore mother cells, B, microspore, C, megaspore, and D, tapetal cells. Now, as we know, spore mother cells are diploid. These cells can divide meiotically to form haploid spores. It may be micro or megaspore. So, option A, spore mother cell, is the correct answer. Question number 18. The space inside the pollen grain from where pollen tube emerges is A, micropyle, B, germ spore, C, tapetum, and D, sacs. So as we know that at certain places the exine of pollen grain remains thin. The exine of pollen grains remains thin. The thin areas are known as germ spore, from where the pollen tube emerges. So option B, germ pore, is the correct answer.
Our next question is, in an anatropous and orthotropous ovule, antipodes are towards option A, the chalazal end, option B, polar nuclei, option C, micropylar end, and option D, both chalazal and micropylar end. Generally, inside the embryo sac we have the polar nuclei in the center, the antipodes towards the chalazal end, and the egg plus the synagogues towards the micropylar end. So the answer to this question is option A, which is the chalazal end. Next question is, ovule without integuments is called option A, unitegmic, option B, bitegmic, option C, ategmic, and option D, tritegmic. An ovule without integuments is found in species such as Santalum, Loranthus, and Olax. While in most of the angiosperms we found integuments present, and depending upon the number they may be called unitegmic, bitegmic, or tritegmic. But the answer to this question is option C, which is ategmic. Our next question is, the arrangement of megaspores in a tetrad in an angiosperm is option A, decussate, option B, tetrahedral, option C, linear, and option D, isobilateral. So the megaspores are arranged in a single line or a sequence, and so the answer to this question is straightforward, which is linear. Our next question is, pollen tube discharge its gametes in option A, synergids, option B, antipodals, option C, central cell, and option D, none of these. So the basic structure of the embryo sac includes presence of the antipodals towards the chalazal end, the polar nuclei or the secondary nuclei in the center, and the egg with these synergids towards the micropylar end. The pollen tube generally discharges its gametes in the synergids, and so the answer to this question is option A, synergids. Next question is, if male gametes are carried in a tube, it is called option A, karyogamy, option B, syphenogamy, option C, zooidogamy, and option D, plasmogamy. Karyogamy denotes the fusion of two nuclei. Zooidogamy is the process in which male gametes are transported or moved through the media of water, while plasmogamy is the process why the protoplast of two cells fuses together. However, if male gametes are carried in a tube, it is called syphenogamy, wherein syphen represents a tube. So the answer to this question is option B. Our next question is, the organs in the dicotyledonous seeds which store food are option A, endosperm, option B, cotyledon, option C, both A and B, and option D, plumule. The plumule is a part of the axis of the embryo, while the endosperm and the cotyledon are organisms which are responsible, or the parts which are responsible for the storage of food or nutrition. So our answer to this question is option C. In dicot embryo, the lowermost cell of the suspensor towards the terminal cell is called option A, hypophysis, option B, hosterical cell, option C, hypocotyl, and option D, epicotyl. Here hypo refers to below, while physis epi refers to outwards or above, and cotyl to seeds or cotyledons. So answer to this question is option A. In dicot embryo, the lowermost cell of the suspensor towards the terminal cell is called the hypophysis. What is the cotyledon of maize embryo called? Option A, elyrum layer, option B, scutellum, option C, plumule, and option D, radicle. The plumule and the radicle are a part of the embryonal axis. While in case of maize, the cotyledon is known as the scutellum. The part that separates the embryo region from the endosperm region in the seed of maize is the option A, epithelium, option B, husk, option C, testa, and option D, hilum. The hilum is the connecting part or the connecting point. The seed, where the testa is the outer hard coat. The part that separates the embryo from the endosperm region is the epithelium. So the answer to this question is option. Next question is, in maize grain, plumule is covered by option A, coleorrhina, option B, coleoptile, option C, caruncle, and option D, tigellum. So the answer to this question is option B, which is coleoptile, which is quite straightforward. Our next question is, distance between cotyledonary node and radicle is called option A, the hypocotyl, option B, epicotyl, option C, caruncle, and option D, coleoptile. The epicotyl is a part lying between the cotyledonary node and the plumule. So the answer to this question is option B, which is epicotyl. The ability of seeds to retain the power of germination over a period of time is called option A, dormancy of seed, option B, viability of seed, option C, drying of seed, and option D, totipotency. Totipotency is the property of a plant wherein each and every part of the plant can grow into a new plant or a new organism due to presence of tissues like the primary meristem. Dormancy of the seed is the property wherein the seed remains dormant or inactive during some stage, while the ability of seeds to retain the power of germination over a period of time is called viability, which is option number